Hi everyone, this is the first lesson recording for IM1 Distance Learning Week 7. We are going to be solving absolute value inequalities today. As usual, we started off with doing some warm-up problems, so please pause the video, copy down these problems and solve them yourself. I will be going through the answers at the end. Optional mastery quiz, retake or make up. If you'd like to take any of the past optional mastery quiz that was offered to raise your grade, please contact me as soon as you can so that we can figure out when and what you're going to be taking. It will be offered on Wednesday, this Wednesday at 1 p.m. And we'll meet at Google Meet with join code Van Horn Math. And if you have 55 to 65% as your current grade, then mini mastery is now mandatory for you so that you can pass IM1. Weekly quiz this week is on solving more complicated absolute value equations like warm-up, and then next week will be on solving absolute value inequalities. That's today's lesson. Homework, there is one homework, and if you need help, please come see me during my study hall. The final schedule next week, you will have, if you're in period 1, your final will be on Monday, 10 to 11. Period 2 is on Tuesday, 10 to 11, and period 6 will be on Wednesday, 1 to 2 p.m. So on the finals week, what we're doing is we're not having a finals per se, but we're just going to be meeting for the weekly quiz and optional quiz. Optional quiz is any of the quiz that we did over the distance learning, and you have a chance to retake or make up if you were absent for any of them. But you need to let me know as soon as possible so that I can plan ahead for it. You can't just turn up. Okay, so here are the warm-up problems. Okay, I'm going to go over them. I hope you had the chance to do them yourself. When you have absolute value expression being equal to a number, then you first need to check, is this a positive number? Yes, it is a positive number. So then you write two equations, but when you're writing your two equations, it needs to be without the absolute value symbol. So 2x minus 3 is equal to 6, or the negative version is 2x minus 3 is equal to negative 6. The reason you do not have the absolute value symbol anymore is because you've applied it. You have done the absolute value function by putting the positive version and the negative version of the equation. So you no longer see this absolute value symbol anymore. So then from here, I am going to add 3 to both sides, which leaves me with 2x is equal to 9. And then from here, I am going to divide both sides by 2, and which leaves me with x is 9 over 2. I am going to leave it as 9 over 2, or I can rewrite it as 3.5. Oops, 4.5, right? 4.5. For the other equation, we add 3 to both sides again, and you are left with 2x is equal to negative 3. Then divide both sides by 2, and you are left with x is equal to negative 3 over 2, or negative 1.5. Okay, so I am leaving it as improper fraction because it's going to be easier for me to check. But I also know that 9 over 2 is same as 4.5, and negative 3 over 2 is same as negative 1.5. Okay, now from here, I need to go through checking. Okay, so then how do I do that? I start off with x is equal to 9 over 2. The other solution was x is equal to negative 3 over 2. So when I am checking, I need to go to the original equation. Do not go to the intermediate equations. Do not go to these two equations that you came up with. Go to the original equation, and you are substituting for x to be whatever value you found, 9 over 2. minus 3 is equal to 6. Okay, again, when I see 2 being multiplied and then divided again, I can say that they cancel out. And on the left hand side, you are still left with 9 minus 3 is equal to 6. The absolute value function symbol is still there because we have not applied it yet. Okay, and we're just simplifying what's inside the absolute value symbol. 9 minus 3 is 6. We still have not applied the absolute value function yet, so it still remains, but now I am applying it. What is absolute value of 6? Just 6. So, and that checks out. What about the next solution? Let's try that again. When you're substituting, you need to go to the original equation. Do not go to those equations that you came up with. Go to the original equation. So that's going to be 2 times negative 3 over 2 minus 3 absolute value is equal to 6. And now we are starting to simplify inside the absolute value function. 2 multiplied by negative 3 divided by 2. Because you're multiplying and then dividing again, so this just simplifies to negative 3 minus 3 is equal to 6. Negative 3 minus 3 is just negative 6. Again, the absolute value function symbol is still there because we have not applied it yet. But now we're going to apply it, and this is when the symbol disappears. What is absolute value of negative 6? That's just 6. And 6 is equal to 6, and so it checks out. Okay, so that was question 1. Let's try the next problem. Absolute value of 6x minus 12 is equal to negative 10. I know some of you are doing this. Okay, so it can be positive or negative. So I'm going to go to 6x minus 12. Could be positive version of it. So that's going to be 10. Or 6x minus 12 is going to be negative 10. And then from here, you're solving and then finding the two values. Okay, but you can't do that. You need to be thinking about, okay, what is the absolute value function? It always yields, it always has the output that is going to be positive or 0. Okay, can it ever give a negative number? No, it cannot. So this is not good. This, so absolute value will always yield 0 or a positive number. So, and never negative. So it's never negative number. So that means this is impossible. So there is no solution for this equation. That's my solution, is that there is no solution. Okay. All right, then let's go on to the final equation, which is probably the most difficult. Again, you need to be thinking about, okay, I need to isolate absolute value expression to be on the one side without all the other numbers around it. That means I need to get rid of this negative 2 over 3 and this plus 2. Now, which do I get rid of first? That really depends on what are the numbers doing to the absolute value symbol. Okay, so here, negative 2 over 3 is being multiplied. Here, 2 is being added. So you need to be really clear on what are these two different numbers doing to the absolute value expression. So just like if you had negative 2 over 3x plus 2 is equal to negative 4, what did you get rid of first? You always got rid of this plus 2 first. By how did you do that? You subtracted 2 from both sides. So you're going to do the same thing here. Subtract 2 from both sides. And that will leave me with, I haven't done anything to this yet, so this expression remains as it is. X plus 1 is equal to negative 4 minus 2 is negative 6. Okay, so then I have to be thinking, okay, I am multiplying a fraction, a negative fraction for that matter.
how can I get rid of this negative 2 over 3? Well, the easiest way is to multiply by its reciprocal. What is its reciprocal? That's you flip the fraction over, but you keep the same symbol, same sign. So you are multiplying both sides by negative 3 over 2. Okay, so then when you do that, again, you're multiplying by negative 3 and then dividing by 3. So this 3 and 3 cancels out, and 2 and 2 cancels out, and this negative and negative just becomes positive, and now you are left with just x plus 1 absolute value. You've gotten rid of all of this. Now we just need to simplify the right hand side. What is negative 6 times negative 3? That's going to be positive 18 divided by 2. Positive 18 divided by 2 is just 9. So from here, oops, I lost my 1. Now that I've isolated my absolute value expression to be one side, I can simply write my two equations. So I have x plus 1 is equal to 9, and x plus 1 is equal to the negative version, which is negative 9. Again, when you're writing these two equations, it should not have the absolute value symbol because you've applied it by giving the positive and negative versions of it. Okay, so I should not be seeing that, and I am going to be docking points if I see that, because you're not really understanding the whole thing. Okay, then from here I am going to subtract 1 from both sides, and that leaves me with x is equal to 9 minus 1 is 8. And again here I am going to subtract 1 from both sides, and which leaves me with x to be negative 10. So I have found my two solutions. So then I need to go through the checking. Okay, I have x is equal to 8 and x is equal to negative 10. So I go to my original equation, negative 2 over 3, absolute value of 8 plus 1, close absolute value, plus 2 is equal to negative 4. Is that true? Well, let's start simplifying. What's 8 plus 1? That's going to be 9. We still have the absolute value symbol because we have not applied it yet. So then now we're going to apply it and then get rid of the symbol. What's absolute value of 9? That's just 9. Okay, now we can multiply negative 2 times 9, which is negative 18, divided by 3 is negative 6. Okay, that simplifies to negative 6 plus 2 is equal to negative 4, and negative 6 plus 2 indeed is negative 4. So that checks out. Alright, what about negative 10? So it's going to be negative 2 over 3, negative 10 plus 1 absolute value plus 2 is equal to negative 4. So again, negative 2 over 3. What's that? Negative 10 plus 1, that's going to be negative 9, plus 2 is equal to negative 4, negative 2 over 3. What is now absolute value of negative 9? That's just going to be 9. That's when we get rid of the absolute value symbol. Now multiply this out. That becomes negative 6 plus 2 is equal to negative 4. So negative 4 is indeed negative 4. So that checks out. Okay, so that's the warm-up problem solved for you. I hope you feel comfortable with that now.